Hi, my name's Bailey. I have obsessive compulsive disorder. Welcome to another video about dealing with OCD. I want to talk about some lesser known subtypes of OCD because it's very possible to be experiencing OCD and not realize that's what's going on. That's something that's happened to me. There were times where I was experiencing OCD after my diagnosis and didn't even know it because there are so many different ways OCD can present itself, and it's important to be educated on all those different ways. The first subtype I want to talk about is somatic OCD. It's also known as sensorimotor OCD. It is a subtype where you become obsessed with a bodily function or a feeling in your body. It's very often breathing, blinking, swallowing, but it can be things you wouldn't even think of, like the feeling in your jaw. Maybe you have a minor pain in your body and your OCD focuses in on it and blows it up to be much more than it actually is. Somatic OCD can often also spiral into health OCD. An example that happened to me was I became obsessed with my breathing. And because I was constantly thinking about my breathing, I believed that something was wrong with my breathing, that something was off. And that's why my brain kept directing itself towards my breathing. The next lesser known subtype of OCD I want to talk about is relationship OCD. Relationship OCD can be a really challenging one to navigate because for many people, relationships come with stress and overthinking, especially people with mental health issues, not specifically OCD, people with depression, anxiety, personality disorders, even people without mental health issues. It's very common to be in a relationship and be worried about whether or not you can trust them, whether or not they're gonna stay in your life, how they feel about you as a person, how you feel about them as a person. And when there's all these uncertainties, it makes the OCD brain go, ooh, let's go crazy, ah! And because, as I mentioned, it's normal to have all these thoughts when you're in a relationship, it can be hard to differentiate between intrusive thoughts, obsessive thoughts, and regular thoughts. And a completely voluntary thought can cause you to spiral into a bunch of involuntary, intrusive thoughts. And relationship OCD doesn't just affect romantic relationships, it can affect friendships and family relationships. And then because it can affect how you feel about your friends and family, it could cause you to overthink about the way you interpret different feelings, platonic, romantic, sexual attraction. It can turn into IOCD. It can turn into sexual orientation OCD. There's a lot of different ways relationship OCD can cause you to spiral. The next subtype I want to talk about is food OCD. Just like relationship OCD, this is another one that is complicated and can look different on different people. And it's heavily influenced by what's ingrained to us by society from the second we start comprehending. I don't know the statistics on this, but I personally think that most people in the world at some point struggle with their relationship with food. And take that with a grain of salt. I don't mean most people have had eating disorders or disordered eating, but it's extremely common for someone to want to lose weight, want to gain weight, want to become more muscular, because our relationship with food is directly connected to issues with our body. And I've yet to meet anyone who has never experienced some level of body image issues. So food OCD can look like being very meticulous about counting calories. And you might say, oh, that just sounds like anorexia or orthorexia, but the reasoning behind it is different. People with OCD may become obsessed with counting calories specifically for control or for no reason at all, just because they have a brain that's made to become obsessed. But food OCD can also look very different, have nothing to do with calories. Many people with OCD experience specific phobias in their lifetime. And I know emetophobia is a very common one, especially for people who also experience contamination or health OCD. So when someone has emetophobia, their relationship with food completely changes. I personally struggled with emetophobia for around 5 years, and I ate very little because of it. I was always worried of eating too much or eating the wrong thing. I wouldn't try new foods. There were points in time I thought I might be anorexic, I might have ARFID, but all my issues with my relationship with food came from my fears around being sick. Food OCD is basically a pretty wide umbrella term to encompass all the obsessions and fears one with OCD might have around food. Those 3 subtypes are all I wanted to talk about today. The reason I chose those 3 were because it's because I feel like experiencing these subtypes can often be very much so confused with other things. Like I said, my food OCD, I thought it was an eating disorder, I thought it was something completely different. My somatic OCD, before I realized what it was, I thought that my lungs were about to collapse. What was the third one? Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, what do you need to remember? Like and subscribe. Oh, healing is always possible. Remission is in your future. Accept your negative thoughts and feelings with compassion. Fear does not prevent death. Fear prevents life. A path is formed by walking. All that jazz. Keep that in mind. And I love you. Woo!